If you like the story, you can support the author on Patreon. Link is in the description.
Chapter 21, If You Are the King, I Am the God. Kira Ryosuke squinted his eyes slightly, resembling a fierce beast as he selected his prey. Soon, the Z team launched another attack, and the coordination and movement of the entire team improved compared to before. Just as the X team saw Baroh SAE as their absolute core, they also focused their offense on Kira Ryosuke. After some time of ball circulation, the ball finally came back to Kira Ryosuke's feet. With astonishing speed, Kira Ryosuke effortlessly tore through the opponent's defensive line, almost without any obstruction, and charged straight towards the goal. At that moment, a familiar figure directly blocked Kira Ryosuke's path. Baroh SAE. Baroh SAE possessed speed and physical abilities far superior to his teammates, and he also had an exceptional sense, anticipating Kira Ryosuke's possible attacking route. And all of this was within Kira Ryosuke's expectations. What he needed was a one-on-one situation with Baroh SAE. And then, in front of everyone, completely crush him. Are Baroh and Kira going to have a face-off? In the control room, Ego Jinpachi pushed his glasses and stared intently at the screen. Although Kira Ryosuke had the advantage in speed, there was a significant difference in their physique, which was crucial in a one-on-one situation. Kira Ryosuke had previously used his physical abilities to overpower Reiichi Jingo and Kunigami Ransuke in one-on-one situations, but Baroh SAE's physical strength could be said to surpass both of them. Additionally, in terms of technique, Baroh SAE was definitely far ahead of these two. Even for Kira Ryosuke, it wouldn't be an easy task to get past Baroh SAE. However, both of them were the star players of their respective teams, and the outcome of their showdown would greatly influence the team's morale. The person who is at a disadvantage in the confrontation will undoubtedly be affected by their team. It can be said that the direct confrontation between the two of them will likely determine the course of the match. At this moment, in front of Kira Ryosuke, Baroh SAE lowered his center of gravity and stared intently at him. "Hey, you're Kira Ryosuke, right? I've said it before, I am the king on the field. You're not allowed to stand in front of me. Can you get past me?" Baroh SAE exuded a strong sense of pressure, as if invisible flames of hell were burning fiercely around him, ready to incinerate Kira Ryosuke to ashes. For some reason, he felt an inexplicable displeasure when looking at Kira Ryosuke. However, Kira Ryosuke, standing in front of Baroh SAE, showed no change in expression on his face. "At first, I didn't think much of it, but upon careful consideration, it's quite shameful to say such words in this situation." Kira Ryosuke narrowed his eyes slightly and focused his gaze on Baroh SAE. "But at this moment, I'll play along with you a little. What are you blabbering about on your own?" Baroh SAE's eyebrows twitched a few times. "You say you're the king on the field? Well, then I am the god of the field, your kingship is not worth mentioning. You bastard, I'll kill you. It's just feudal rage. Today, I will make everyone present clearly see how the king crumbles." After speaking, Kira Ryosuke adjusted his breathing and entered a state of complete full concentration breathing. Even though the state of full concentration breathing had reached level 2, the duration was still just a little over 10 seconds. But in these short 10 seconds, in the intense atmosphere of the football field, it could have a tremendous impact. The breathing technique could enhance the user's explosive power in a short amount of time, and that was Kira Ryosuke's capital in his one-on-one against Baroh SAE. Baroh SAE keenly sensed that there was a change in Kira Ryosuke's aura, but he didn't know exactly what had happened. He also didn't realize that his forehead was already covered in sweat. Without any fancy dribbling moves, Kira Ryosuke dashed directly towards the left side of Baroh SAE's body. Baroh SAE widened his eyes. Even though he was fully focused, he reacted momentarily, but by the time he moved, Kira Ryosuke had already brushed past his body. "I'll kill you!" Baroh SAE shouted in anger, immediately turned around, intending to use his physical advantage to make reasonable body contact and disrupt Kira Ryosuke's movements. But in the moment of body contact, he felt as if he had collided with a mountain, and even his own body lost balance in an instant. Baroh SAE was extremely surprised because Kira Ryosuke's physique didn't seem so imposing, and he was even half a head shorter than himself. However, at this moment, he was at a disadvantage in terms of body contact. What is this guy's background? Unlike when Reiichi directly fell to the ground after making contact with Kira, Baroh SAE forcefully readjusted his center of gravity and took steps to try and disrupt Kira Ryosuke's dribble from behind. However, in the less than half a second it took for him to readjust his body, Kira Ryosuke had already created enough distance. The distance wasn't far, but there was enough space for a shot. Kira Ryosuke raised his leg once again, this time, his left leg. Power quickly gathered in his left leg and then erupted in an instant. A thunderous sound echoed through the field once again. Boom! In the next moment, the ball had already surged into the net, tearing at the net as if it would escape in the next second. The goalkeeper of Team X stood in place, unable to make any moves. He hadn't reacted in time at all. 2-1. Amazing, Kira. Great, we've regained the advantage. What king? Nothing more than that. The members of Team Z cheered again. This time, the direct clash between the ace players of the two teams ended with Kira Ryosuke's victory, greatly boosting Team Z's morale. At this moment, Kira Ryosuke merely turned his head and looked at Baroh behind him, smiling. The so-called king seems to be just this. You bastard, I'll definitely kill you. Baroh's eyes were bloodshot, and his body seemed to tremble with intense emotions. It was clear that he was completely consumed by anger. Pass me the ball. Do you hear me? Baroh yelled frantically at his teammates. Meanwhile, Kira Ryosuke's lips curled up slightly, everything going just as he had expected. Baroh had completely fallen into his trap. Chapter 22, In terms of intelligence. On the football field, a player's performance depends on three main factors: physical fitness, technique, and football intelligence. Physical fitness determines a player's minimum level. Generally, players with excellent physical attributes are considered to have potential because technical skills can be further developed later on, but it is nearly impossible to make significant breakthroughs in physical attributes. The two factors that determine a player's maximum potential are technical skills, which can be trained later, and football intelligence. Football intelligence, in simple terms, is the ability to read the game, understand the strengths and weaknesses of both sides, constantly analyze and judge the situation during the game, and make the right decisions at the right time. This is crucial because almost no player can guarantee that every offensive choice they make is correct, such as whether to attack themselves or pass the ball to a teammate. A small decision can potentially influence the outcome of the entire game. The Blue Lock plan was developed to cultivate a superb forward with a powerful physique and exquisite technique, but it neglected the most crucial aspect: football intelligence. This is the key to determining victory or defeat. Although Baroh has almost reached the peak in terms of physical fitness and technique, he is clearly lacking in football intelligence. He can dominate the field, but his emotions are easily affected. He becomes difficult to control when provoked by opponents. He is extremely eager to defeat the opponent on the field, and his proud personality prevents him from passing the ball to his teammates. This makes it easier for the members of Team Z to limit him on the offensive end. As a result, Team X's offense falls into a vicious cycle. Baroh faces double teaming, which greatly reduces the efficiency of their attacks. He becomes increasingly impatient and eager to score, which leads to him passing the ball even less. Furthermore, Baroh's behavior undoubtedly harms the team atmosphere and completely erodes the respect his teammates had for him as a rookie. Consequently, Team X's failure is almost a foregone conclusion. Pass me the ball. You useless servants. Once again, it's Team X's turn to attack, and Baroh harshly berates his teammates without any courtesy. But, regardless of who it is, hearing their teammates speak to them without any courtesy is uncomfortable to some extent. However, even if they feel unhappy, they can only swallow their pride and find a way to provide Baroh with the ball. However, all of this is within Kira Ryosuke's calculations. The presence of Baroh brought the once scattered and chaotic Team X back together, but at the same time, it made their attacking style incredibly predictable. His teammates would find ways to pass the ball to Baroh, which limited their passing options. This made it easier for the opponents to intercept the passes. Just as the ball was about to reach Baroh, Kira Ryosuke suddenly appeared from the side and successfully intercepted it. The counterattack begins. You useless fool! Baroh angrily berates his teammate. But while he scolds his teammate, Kira Ryosuke has already dribbled into the opponent's half. Quick, double team him! The members of Team X see Kira Ryosuke gaining possession of the ball again and immediately rush forward to double team him, not giving him another chance to score. There is a significant difference between 2-1 and 3-1. If Team Z scores another goal, it will be challenging for Team X to catch up. Team X goes all out, aiming to completely lock down Kira Ryosuke. Even if they have to commit fouls, they absolutely cannot let Kira Ryosuke score again. Baroh Shuai also joins in, wanting to redeem himself by stopping Kira Ryosuke. And this is exactly the situation that Kira Ryosuke wants to see. He has already used Thunderclap Flash, a move that requires full concentration, with both legs once. Using it again in a short time could strain his legs and it wouldn't be worth it. He needs some time to adjust his physical condition, allowing his legs to rest. During this period, his attacking ability will inevitably be affected. However, the others are unaware of this. They still believe that Kira Ryosuke poses a significant threat in the attack, so they mobilize a large number of players to defend against him. That's also why he chose to use his skills to score 2 quick goals in the first half. We can't let him do whatever he wants. Even if we have to foul him, it doesn't matter. Stop him, stop him. Not only the other players but Baroh Shuai also angrily stands in front of Kira Ryosuke. I won't let you pass me anymore. Don't you dare stand in front of me. I'll kill you. Oh. Kira Ryosuke smiles on his face. In the next moment, he's kicking the ball out and accurately slotting it to a teammate who has already arrived at his side. Ryoichi. What? The members of Team Z are dumbfounded. They didn't expect Kira Ryosuke to choose to pass the ball at this moment. Great pass. Even Ryoichi, who previously had some doubts about Kira Ryosuke, receives the pass from him at this moment and can't help but praise him. All the defensive focus was on Kira Ryosuke, and Ryoichi, who just arrived from the backcourt to support, now has a great shooting opportunity. Shoot. Goal. 3-1. Great pass, Kira. Ryoichi immediately cheers. Just an hour ago, he was very unhappy with Kira Ryosuke, but now he quickly runs to Kira Ryosuke's side, high-fives him, and all the animosity disappears completely in this moment of collaboration. Beautiful shot. Kira Ryosuke nods. His biggest role now is to draw the opponent's defense and create more space for his teammates. Moreover, the pass just now allowed him to gain Ryoichi's complete trust, turning this hot-tempered and unstable factor into his supporter, further gaining control over the team. In addition, his actions can be sharply contrasted with Baroh Shuai, and in the eyes of Team X members, the difference between the two is evident. You scum! Baroh Shuai angrily addresses Kira Ryosuke, expressing his strong dissatisfaction with his choice to pass the ball. I seem to have scored in front of you not long ago. And your tone seems to suggest that you've already won. Kira Ryosuke just smiles faintly and doesn't pay any further attention to Baroh Shuai, leaving him standing there in frustration. Chapter 23, The first match ends. The score in the first half already became 3-1, coupled with the huge gap between the two team captains. The game gradually turned into a one-sided situation in the second half. Just as Kira Ryosuke expected, Baroh Shuai in the second half completely focused on his own attack, without considering passing the ball to his teammates. The others could only accompany him in running back and forth. Although Baroh Shuai possesses outstanding individual skills, his offensive efficiency is very low in the face of the heavy marking from Team Z. Even though he managed to score a goal, it consumed a significant amount of possession and time, and the difficulty of receiving passes from his teammates also increased. He would loudly criticize his teammates for their incompetence. Can you guys do something useful for once? Pass the ball. Give it to me. You are all just servants, do you hear me? I am the king on the field. This made the atmosphere within Team X even worse, and Baroh Shuai's relationship with his teammates plummeted to an all-time low. Many teammates became frustrated as well. If they were leading, they would have no hesitation in passing the ball to Baroh Shuai. But now, with a significant deficit, the situation was completely different. The outcome of this match was already determined, and the remaining games were unpredictable in terms of victory or defeat. Each player couldn't help but think about another qualification rule, which is becoming the top scorer within the team. Baroh Shuai has already scored a goal, and in order to compete for the qualification, they could only try to score more goals than Baroh Shuai. Therefore, they no longer passed the ball to Baroh Shuai and instead chose to attack on their own. However, their abilities were limited, and each person was vying for scoring opportunities. The entire team once again resembled the chaotic and disorganized state from before. You useless servants! Baroh Shuai was infuriated by his teammates' choices, but he was powerless. On the other hand, the Z team, led by Kira Ryosuke, grew stronger as the battle continued. Having had sufficient rest, Kira Ryosuke not only utilized his full concentration to execute the Thunderclap Flash technique and score 2 points again in the second half, but he also created brilliant passes to provide opportunities for his teammates, further gaining the team's trust and bringing together the 11 individuals who had only known each other for a few days into a collective unit. In the final moments of the game, it essentially turned into garbage time, and the score ultimately settled at 8-3. As the final whistle sounded, veins bulged on Baroh Shuai's forehead, as if they were about to burst through his skin. His face also turned red due to the intense physical exertion and anger within him. He seemed to want to say something, but in the end, nothing came out. He left the field with an expression full of anger. There was no conversation among the other members of Team X, and suffocating silence enveloped them. On the other hand, on the side of Team Z, the crowd surrounded Kira Ryosuke. Amazing, Kira! How did you manage to score that goal? So powerful! When that guy named Baroh scored the first goal to equalize, I got scared, but you acted quickly. Hail Kira! King Kira! The crowd cheered for Kira Ryosuke, as this was their first official match in the Blue Lock, and the outcome was crucial. 8-3, an unexpected score. The match ended, and Ego Jinpachi was repeatedly reviewing the details of the game that had just taken place. He did not expect that Team X would lose the game by such a wide margin. When the Blue Lock plan was just implemented, I thought the team with Baroh Shuai would be able to defeat Team Z. I didn't expect it to turn out like this. Ego Jinpachi leaned back in his chair, gently stroking his chin with one hand. As he expected, Baroh Shuai, with his remarkable abilities, successfully transformed Team X from nothing to something, bringing the team together. However, shortly after, their team collapsed once again because Baroh Shuai was too focused on individual play. Though uncertain, Ego Jinpachi had a bold speculation in his mind. From start to finish, Kira Ryosuke was guiding Baroh Shuai's actions, luring him into a cycle of continuous attacks, and then starting the offensive again himself, providing assists to his teammates. In stark contrast, Team Z became more united, while Team X crumbled once again. All of this was perhaps orchestrated by Kira Ryosuke. He manipulated the entire game like a puppeteer, and even his passes to his teammates served a purpose beyond scoring. It's just a speculation and not confirmed. Ego Jinpachi pushed his glasses and muttered to himself. If it's true, there might be a terrifying monster imprisoned in the Blue Lock. He has been hiding his fangs all along, and I failed to see through it. Awesome, Kira! Amidst the cheers and gathering of the crowd, Kira Ryosuke returned to the room where Team Z was located. Reiichi was among the loudest, shouting. That pass was incredible. Let's keep winning like this. Yet. Kira Ryosuke nodded and smiled in response. Congratulations! You've earned 80 competitiveness points. As expected, official matches yield significantly more competitiveness points compared to the previous game of tag, and performance in the match also grants substantial bonuses. Kira Ryosuke immediately opened the system interface. Host, Kira Ryosuke. Current competitiveness points, 110. Current skills. Competitiveness, Thunder Breathing, Full Concentration LV2 Proficiency, 38.07%. Competitiveness, Thunder Breathing, Thunderclap Flash LV2 Proficiency, 35.17%. Using skills in actual combat provides Kira Ryosuke with a substantial increase in proficiency that regular training cannot achieve. However, even though combat provides significant proficiency, regular practice should not be neglected. Currently, both Full Concentration Breathing and Thunderclap Flash have not reached 100% proficiency, so Kira Ryosuke cannot upgrade them. His gaze continued to move downward. Competitiveness, Thunder Breath, Rise Spirit, Locked, Unlock, 100 competitiveness points. Competitiveness, Thunder Breath, Thunder Swarm, Locked, Unlock, 150 competitiveness points and Rise Spirit already unlocked. Chapter 24, New Skill Unlocked. With 110 competitiveness points, Kira Ryosuke currently has no way to upgrade. It's the perfect opportunity to use these points to unlock a new skill. Competitiveness points, 10. Congratulations! Successfully unlocked skill, Thunder Breathing, Rise Spirit. After unlocking the skill, Kira Ryosuke seemed to see a series of electric flashes flickering in his eyes. As the system issued a prompt, the interface in his eyes changed as well. Competitiveness, Thunder Breathing, Rise Spirit LV1 Proficiency, 0%. I've unlocked a new skill, and I'll need to practice and improve its proficiency. This will definitely take some time. I wonder if it will be enough. Kira Ryosuke thought to himself, but at that moment, the system's voice rang out again, accompanied by a new image appearing. Acquired achievement first goal, scored the first goal in an official match, slightly increased physical abilities. Kira Ryosuke felt a surge of power entering his body, which then quickly dissipated. Acquired achievement hat trick, completed a hat trick in an official match, unlocking the privilege of accessing the practice space. Practice space, a unique space independent of the real world. The host can enter it for practice, and within the practice space, there will be no sensation of fatigue. Time in the real world is temporarily suspended upon entering the competitive space. Practice space, 10 competitiveness points / 1 hour. There are achievements as well? And this practice space? Kira Ryosuke focused his attention on the description of the practice space and quickly realized how important it was. Competitiveness points affect the strength of abilities, and another crucial factor is time. Kira Ryosuke needs time to practice and familiarize himself with these skills. Previously, it took him over a week to master the full concentration breathing and thunderclap flash techniques to 100% proficiency. Now, with the skill upgrades and unlocks, he will need even more time for practice. Although there is usually a gap of several days between two matches for the same team to ensure player fitness and fair competition, it's still not enough for Kira Ryosuke. However, if there is a practice space, that would be a different story. Kira Ryosuke would have extra time for practice. And most importantly, in that space, he wouldn't feel any fatigue, which would greatly enhance the efficiency of his training. Just 1 hour in the practice space might be equivalent to a day of training for an ordinary person. At that moment, the screen in the room suddenly lit up again, and the face of Ego appeared on the screen. To all the young talents of Team Z, although this was just a match, I must admit that you performed remarkably well. Ego said slowly, but his gaze seemed to focus on Kira Ryosuke. It seems you have found your weapons and discovered the way to create football from scratch. But I have a question for you, Kira Ryosuke. Why did you choose to pass instead of directly attacking when facing the Baroh for the second time? Because passing was the right choice. Kira Ryosuke replied with a smile. Although you won, I have to remind you that this kind of thinking cannot continue. A forward should be selfish. Only by continuously scoring goals can one be called the world's #1 forward. If you fear on the field or hold the idea of helping others, then you are completely mistaken. Ego's expression gradually became serious. The others present felt a shiver down their spines and didn't dare to interrupt their conversation. But Kira Ryosuke's smile remained unchanged. I don't agree with that statement, Mr. Ego. A truly formidable forward is not judged solely by how many goals he can score, but by whether he can lead the team to victory. Baroh is the best example, isn't it? Kira Ryosuke continued. I pass, not out of fear or any other reason. I simply believe that doing so will lead to victory. What I want is victory, not just goals. A truly outstanding player makes the right judgment at the right time. In other words, only those who can lead their teammates to victory are truly exceptional players. Compared to Baroh, I prefer to cooperate with my current teammates. Kira Ryosuke's words further increased his influence within Team Z. If you don't agree with my ideology, why did you come here? Ego pushed his glasses up his nose, and his pitch-black and profound eyes focused on Kira Ryosuke's face, as if trying to see through his inner thoughts. Because I'm here to prove that your ideology, Mr. Ego Jinpachi, is wrong. Kira Ryosuke replied with a smile. That was precisely the reason the original owner of his body joined the Blue Lock. And wouldn't it be quite ironic if this opponent of yours reaches the end? Interesting. Ego stared at Kira Ryosuke for a while, and a smile appeared on his face as well. Then I hope you can keep winning. By the way, the matches between Team V and Team Y, who are competing alongside you, have also ended. It was 8-0. I hope you can keep going and see who is right and who is wrong between the two of us. After Ego finished speaking, the screen suddenly disappeared. Wow, Kira, you're so cool. You dared to argue back at that guy. That was awesome. Reiichi patted Kira Ryosuke on the shoulder and said with a smile. On the other side, in the dressing room of Team V, the screen lit up. Congratulations, all you young talents. Almost the same words, Ego repeated them again. Also, I have to inform you that Team Z has defeated Team X with a score of 8-3. Wow, they scored 8 goals too. A male with long hair tied in a ponytail turned to his companion and asked. However, standing beside him, a boy with white curly hair lazily raised his head and looked at the screen. Can I have my phone back? Otherwise, it'll be boring tonight. He had a tall figure and a childlike face. Although the match had just ended, there was not a drop of sweat on this boy's body, as if he hadn't been involved at all. I bet you want your phone back just to play games secretly, Nagi. Yet. The boy named Nagi Shishio straightforwardly nodded. It doesn't matter. We'll keep winning from now on anyway, right? Chapter 25, Hello. After taking a shower, changing clothes, and taking a short break, Kira Ryosuke and a few others went to the cafeteria to get their meals, preparing to bring the food and drinks back to the dormitory to celebrate their first day's victory. Kira Ryosuke suggested that everyone sit together and bring out their meals so that each person could taste different dishes. While daily practice was important, maintaining a balanced diet was equally crucial. Before eating, Kira Ryosuke went to the points redemption counter. Today, he himself scored 4 goals, earning 4 points. After thinking for a while, Kira Ryosuke ultimately chose to redeem a phone. When dinner was almost ready, he turned on the phone. As soon as he unlocked it, Kira Ryosuke found himself bombarded with dozens of text messages. They were all from Riko during this period of time. Riko, how's it going? How's life over there? Do you want me to send you something? Riko, oops, I forgot you can't use your phone. Are you keeping up with your fitness plan? Do you have all the necessary gym equipment over there? Riko, when can you get your phone back? By the way, don't you guys have any breaks over there? Being stuck inside all the time must be really boring. Kira Ryosuke smiled as he looked at his phone and quickly composed a reply. I just got my phone back. As soon as he sent the message, Idoi SAE and the others turned to him curiously and asked, Kira, who were you texting just now? It's... Before Kira Ryosuke could finish his sentence, his phone immediately rang. It was a video call from Riko. This sudden video call caught Kira Ryosuke off guard, but he quickly gestured for the others to be quiet and answered the call. Hello, Riko. Kira, how's the situation over there? Riko asked anxiously. Her beautiful face appeared on the phone screen, and because it was a video call, her voice was also audible through the speaker. Everything are going fine on my end. Kira Ryosuke answered immediately. Upon hearing the voice of a young woman, the others exchanged glances and simultaneously gave meaningful smiles. How did you get your phone back? Weren't they supposed to confiscate it? Riko asked curiously. Kira Ryosuke nodded. But here, you can redeem your phone by exchanging points based on the number of goals scored. 3 goals can get you a phone. You scored 3 goals. Well, strictly speaking, it's 4 goals. Then Kira proceeded to tell Riko about everything that had happened to him in the Blue Lock over the past few days. Riko's face showed a very surprised expression. At first, when her father, Kage Tora, told her about this, she didn't quite believe it. But now, hearing it directly from Kira Ryosuke, Riko finally believed it. This is just unreasonable. What does he think of the future of those 300 players? What does a professional athlete's career mean to him? That's why I chose to participate, to prove that person wrong, Kira replied. Well, as long as you win. Riko's face lit up with a smile. She genuinely felt happy for Kira. Oh, by the way, Kira, take off your clothes and let me see, Riko said, wanting to check Kira's fitness condition. Well, that's not really appropriate, and Kira hesitated. What's wrong with that? Didn't we often do that when you were with us? Riko didn't quite understand Kira's words. Well, there are people around me. Kira tilted his phone, rotating it to show the screen to the others present. The others fell into silence for a moment. After a few seconds, they all forced a smile and greeted in unison, Hello, sister-in-law. Hello, Riko greeted awkwardly, not knowing what to say for a moment. Wait, something seems off. I think I just said something strange. Riko carefully recalled what she had just said, and a blush appeared on her fair face. Just as I expected from sister-in-law, always playful. Imamura Yude expressed an incredibly envious expression. Hey, what are you guys talking about? That's not what I meant. I just wanted Kira to take off his clothes so I could see. Riko quickly explained, realizing that her words had deepened the misunderstanding. And, what were those people talking about just now? Calling me sister-in-law? Doesn't that mean they mistakenly think that Kira and I are a couple? Riko's face turned even redder, becoming as vibrant as a ripe apple. Although she was misunderstood, deep down inside, Riko still felt a tiny bit of happiness. Well, I'm not. Riko was about to further explain, but Kunigami and the others immediately stood up and left the room, carrying their plates. Well, sister-in-law, you can chat with Kira. We won't disturb you. We'll go train first. After saying that, the others left the dormitory, leaving only Kira alone. So, is that Kira's girlfriend? Kira is already good-looking, and his girlfriend is pretty too. Despite her cute and delicate appearance, her personality seems lively. I'm so envious. They seem to have a lot of fun together. As they discussed, they walked to the field and engaged in some light activities like walking, to aid in digestion after their meal. Meanwhile, Kira and Riko were facing each other through the phone screen, their eyes wide open. Well, I didn't mean anything else. Ahem, I just wanted to see how your body is doing, whether you've been following my fitness plan over there. Riko coughed lightly, forcing herself to calm down. Kira nodded and took off his shirt, showcasing himself to Riko. Riko's eyes widened slightly, seemingly noticing some unexpected changes. Chapter 26, 10 Goals First. Riko noticed that Kira's body seemed to have become more muscular and defined. It had only been a few days since he arrived at the Blue Lock. Was it just an illusion? Not only that, she also noticed that Kira's physical fitness had improved even further compared to before, albeit slightly. It was a result of dedicated training over time. Ordinary people would find it hard to notice such changes, especially since they usually wore clothes, making it impossible for others to see. It must be the filter on the phone, Riko thought to herself, then nodded at Kira. You've maintained your physique quite well. I'll reluctantly consider you qualified. Just qualified? I still maintain a high-intensity workout every day. Kira replied. That's expected. The plan I made for you earlier was too gentle. I should have sent you into the wilderness for survival training. Please spare me. By the way, when do you think you can get out of there? In theory, we can't leave the Blue Lock until we're eliminated. Personally, I feel like I'll be staying for quite a while. Kira looked at Riko on the phone screen and said. But hey, scoring 10 goals can earn I am day out. 10 goals for a day out? Can you exchange for anything else? Riko asked curiously. You can exchange for things like steak, but I'm not really interested. With 10 goals, it should take about 2 or 3 matches. This round should be almost over. What do you plan to do once you're out? Come and visit you, your place isn't far from here anyway. The cafeteria here is just average. It doesn't taste as good as the food you make, so I want to come back and taste your cooking. Kira Ryosuke replied with a smile. Well. Upon hearing Kira Ryosuke's words, Riko clenched her fist slightly and lowered her head in slight embarrassment. She pursed her lips and quickly smiled, directing her gaze at the screen. Sure, I'll be waiting for you. But you have to score 10 goals when you come back. I got it. Don't worry. And one more thing. Riko's expression became very serious. She leaned forward and gently touched the screen with her finger, as if touching Kira Ryosuke's forehead. You have to win until the end. Show that arrogant guy what you're capable of. Okay, it's a promise. Kira Ryosuke nodded. Well, you guys probably have to train later, so I won't bother you anymore. Contact me if you need anything. When do you think you'll be back? I'll prepare lots of delicious food for you. After finishing the call with Riko, Kira Ryosuke arrived at Z Team's exclusive field, and the others' eyes all turned towards him. He could keenly sense the envy among them. Well, Riko is not my. Before Kira Ryosuke could finish explaining, Imamura walked up to him and patted his shoulder. I understand. After all, Kira, you're becoming a small star yourself. If the media finds out, it will surely cause trouble. I'll definitely keep it a secret for you. After speaking, Imamura gave Kira Ryosuke a thumbs up, as if saying, you can trust me, brother. Kira Ryosuke sighed helplessly. Explaining now wouldn't make a difference. Everyone is tired today, and there's no need for intense training. Let's practice some basic coordination and tactics. Tomorrow, we'll review the footage in the monitoring room to see where we didn't perform well in today's match. We also need to watch the match between Team Y and Team V. Although the score difference is significant, both Y and V will be our opponents in the future, so we can't take it lightly. According to the original storyline, their next match would be against Team Y. Although Team Y was just defeated 8-0 by Team V, it doesn't mean that Team Y is weak. There are two players among them who are worth noting. One is Okawa Hibiki, who has excellent scoring ability. But his teammate has a higher tactical position than Okawa Hibiki. Niko Iki. He is the true core brain of Team Y, planning and strategizing the team's layout and implementing defensive counterattacks. And their first opponent, Team V, is the strongest among the 5 teams. In the original work, 3 players among them contributed a total of 18 goals in the first 4 matches. There's the technically skilled Mikage Ryo, who excels in ball control, and the lightning-fast Tsurugi Zantetsu. And then there's the prodigy Nagi Sishio. He possesses unparalleled physical talent and an exaggerated ability to stop the ball, being able to stop and shoot from various angles and positions. What's most remarkable is that Nagi has only been in contact with football for just half a year, yet he has already reached heights that are beyond the reach of ordinary people. A match against them is likely to be a tough battle. However, the match between Team Z and Team V is the last one. Kira knows that he needs to focus on the current opponent and further elevate his own skills during this time. Team Y's locker room. At this moment, the atmosphere within the entire team has reached its freezing point. In reality, under the leadership of Niko Iki, Team Y quickly formulated their tactics and didn't experience the same chaos as Team X. However, in the face of absolute talent, their efforts became meaningless, as Team V's 3 powerhouses effortlessly broke through their defense time and time again. Even the strongest Nagi didn't break a sweat, as if football was just a routine job for him, effortlessly scoring and then standing aside to rest. Despite this, Team Y couldn't manage to score a single goal, which left every player in the team feeling extremely frustrated. Since we've already lost, there's nothing we can do. Niko clapped his hands, and his heavy bangs covered his eyes. He wanted to ease the currently chilly atmosphere in the locker room while also motivating others and preparing for the next match. They have already lost 1 game, and only 2 teams out of the 5 can advance. They are now standing on the edge of a cliff, as another loss would mean complete elimination. We should now find a way to identify our mistakes in this game while focusing on the upcoming matches. On the other hand, Team X and Team Z have already finished their match, and they will undoubtedly face us in the future. We can watch the recording of their game in the control room to get an early understanding of our opponents. Chapter 27, Practice Space. In the control room, Niko, along with Okawa and other teammates, watched the match between Team Z and Team X, and each person's face showed a surprised expression. There is no doubt that Baroh possesses tremendous skills and physical abilities, which allow him to have a formidable attacking power. Even Okawa, who was once the top scorer in his region, feels inferior in comparison. But despite that, Team X still lost. Not only because the team experienced internal conflicts and ultimately collapsed, but also because of the presence of Kira Ryosuke. That Kira Ryosuke, I've heard of him. Many people call him a gem in the football world. I've seen his matches before, and he's indeed impressive. But I never expected him to be this formidable in the blue lock. Okawa couldn't help but exclaim, his voice trembling slightly. Okawa, can you pull off that kind of shot? Niko reached out his hand, pointing at the screen, which displayed a freeze frame of Kira evading Baroh and taking a shot. No, it's impossible. His first shot was with his right foot, and the second one was incredibly skilled with his left foot. This is already an exceptional level. Okawa swallowed nervously. And he can maintain that speed and power. The goalkeepers clearly didn't even react. Baroh was already a monster, but Kira is a monster among monsters. Not only that, unlike Baroh, who insists on solo play, Kira also chooses to pass at the right moments, which makes him even more terrifying. He practically controls the entire field on his own. Niko reached out, lightly stroking his chin, seemingly contemplating how to deal with this situation. However, against such an opponent, our defensive strategy that we formulated earlier should be effective. He lowered his hand, his tone becoming incredibly resolute. Kira is the absolute core brain of Team Z. As long as we shut him down, solving Team Z won't be difficult. We will win, we must win. At that time, just like the first game, after the forwards break through the midfield, Reiichi, you and a few others will press forward based on rotational positions. At the Z team's field, Kira had finished the basic tactical practice with the rest of the team, and the others quickly went to rest. Kira stayed alone on the field, preparing to continue with some specialized training. He hadn't had a chance to test the effectiveness of his newly unlocked thunder-breathing form 2, and what intrigued Kira the most was the so-called practice space. While contemplating, Kira once again opened the system interface. Practice space, 10 competitiveness points / 1 hour. Kira currently had exactly 10 competitiveness points remaining, so he could try out this practice space. Exchange successful, entering the practice space. 3, 2, 1. Entering. Kira felt the scene before him change, and the surrounding objects shattered like scattered puzzle pieces, then reassembled right in front of his eyes. In the next instant, Kira found himself in a new space. A green football field appeared before Kira, and a football ball lay quietly at his feet. This practice space provides all sports equipment related to football. If needed, you can open the system menu and choose for yourself. Following the system prompt, Kira opened the system menu. Various training equipment came into view, dummies, obstacles, weighted balls, and there were even many pieces of equipment that Kira had never seen before. Not only that, the size, style, and even color of these equipment could be changed according to Kira's thoughts. In the mid-air above the field, huge numbers suddenly appeared. 60:00, 59:59, 59:58. Kira immediately realized that the numbers above were the countdown of the remaining time in the practice space. This opportunity cost him 10 points, and it was a precious 1 hour. He absolutely couldn't waste it. He quickly went to the goal and entered a state of total concentration breathing, then used the thunderclap flash to take a shot. After completing the shot, Kira carefully felt his legs. This time, he didn't feel any soreness. With this, my efficiency will improve significantly. A smile appeared on Kira's face because practicing skills in a state of total concentration breathing not only improved the proficiency of 2 skills simultaneously but also increased the rate of improvement compared to using the abilities separately. After he completed the shot, the ball inside the goal disappeared, and a brand new football ball appeared out of thin air in front of him. It seems quite user-friendly. It saves me a lot of time. He quickly used his legs to take shots, still without any sense of soreness. Indeed, there's no physical limitation here. I can practice skills freely to improve proficiency. Kira muttered to himself and temporarily stopped practicing Thunderclap Flash, shifting his focus to the newly unlocked skill. Second form, Rise Spirit. First form, Thunderclap Flash enhanced the explosive power of his legs, and Kira was curious about the effects of Rise Spirit. He maintained the state of total concentration breathing and, based on the memories that had recently rushed into his mind, intuitively moved his body. The ball at his feet moved with Kira as he began to run. Then, he forcefully stepped on the side of the ball, causing it to bounce off the ground and land perfectly on his chest. All of this was done while Kira was in high-speed running. While dribbling the ball, Kira quickly performed a series of fancy moves. The small ball, seemingly imbued with life, moved around him as if it were a contract-bound spirit. It leaped and spun, freely maneuvering between Kira's feet. These moves, reminiscent of street football, may appear flashy, but they are executed at a tremendous speed. If a defender attempts to tackle, there is a high possibility of being deceived and losing their balance. So, that's how this skill works. A slight upward curve appeared on Kira's lips as he ceased his movements. At this moment, he fully understood the effects brought about by the skill Rise Spirit. Exceptional Dribbling Technique. Chapter 28, The Spark Hidden in Chidori Hyoma's Heart. Thunderclap Flash grant Kira tremendous explosive power in his legs, while Rise Spirit significantly enhances his dribbling skills. The original body's abilities are remarkable, and his dribbling skills are above average. However, there is still a considerable gap compared to top dribbling masters like Baroh. Previously, Kira was able to defeat Baroh mainly due to his physical qualities and speed, which surpassed his opponent. The same applies during matches. With the boost from Thunderclap Flash, Kira possesses the speed to easily tear through the defensive line and utilizes his explosive power to execute skilled shots. Speed rather than technique is crucial in achieving all of this. Furthermore, Team X's defense lacks any semblance of strategy, with no coordination among the players. This allows Kira to effortlessly penetrate their penalty area. However, the upcoming opponent, Team Y, is entirely different. They exhibit organized coordination and place significant emphasis on defense. It won't be easy to create suitable shooting opportunities against them. Moreover, it's likely that they have already studied the recording of Kira's match against Team X and are aware of his superior speed. They may set up a deeper and more compact defensive line, making it difficult to break through and easily blocking long-range shots. With the presence of Rise Spirit, Kira gains another offensive weapon. Generally, street ball moves are too flashy and involve unnecessary actions, leading to a high error rate. However, the dribbling actions bestowed upon Kira by Rice Spirit have no superfluous elements and effectively destabilize the defender's balance. This is precisely the ability Kira currently needs. It provides him with more opportunities to score without relying on Thunderclap Flash. Unlike Thunderclap Flash, Rice Spirit is purely a skill. Therefore, its effects are not significantly enhanced in a state of total concentration breathing. However, it allows Kira to possess advanced dribbling abilities even in normal circumstances. An hour quickly passed. Without the limitation of physical stamina, Kira's efficiency in improving his skills increased several times over. Within that hour, the proficiency of Thunderclap Flash and total concentration breathing increased by over 20%, while the proficiency of Rice Spirit surpassed 40%. Time's up, return to the real world. The moment the timer reached 0 on the training ground, the surroundings of Kira once again changed. In an instant, he was back in the training ground of the Blue Lock. Kira quickly took out his phone. Just as the system explained, the time inside the competitive space is independent. No matter how much time Kira spent in there, in the eyes of others, he didn't make any other movements. If I upgrade Rice Spirit, it should further enhance my dribbling proficiency and expand my repertoire of moves. In a sense, this is what they call ball sense, Kira pondered. At the same time, he prepared to try using the combination of moves again. However, after executing the combination of moves, a noticeable soreness engulfed him. It was more severe than the fatigue he experienced after using Thunderclap Flash during the match. Kira had to take a short break and do some stretching exercises. As expected, if all three moves are used simultaneously, the soreness becomes more apparent. Improving their proficiency and enhancing my physical stamina are still essential. I'll give myself some extra training later. Just as Kira was about to continue training, someone approached him from behind. Chidori Hyoma. Although the entire Blue Lock is filled with male players, Chidori Hyoma possesses a delicate beauty that surpasses that of a woman. He also has long hair, looking just like a real girl. His have a somewhat solitary personality, and within the team, he is referred to as Princess. Are you still practicing, Kira? Chidori Hyoma walked up to Kira Ryosuke's side, curious, and asked. Yeah, I'm planning to do some specialized physical training before going to sleep, Kira Ryosuke replied. As he looked at Chidori Hyoma's expression, it seemed like he had something. Is that so? Kira, you truly have talent and work hard. Chidori Hyoma pursed their lips, seemingly wanting to say something but hesitating to speak it out. He was once the star player of their high school, possessing unparalleled speed. However, after getting injured, he lost the courage to run again, and a shadow was cast over his heart. Although Chidori Hyoma believed he had lost their passion for football, he ultimately responded to the invitation from Blue Lock, keeping a flicker of hope in his heart. During the matches, he didn't compete or fight for the ball. He prepared to stay withdrawn at the last line of defense, spending the entire game without active participation. However, after witnessing the sprinting figure of Kira, the spark in his heart seemed to burn brighter. Chapter 29, If You Give Up, Why Did You Come Here? The sight of the rapid charge reminded Chidori of his former self. At least in that moment, there was a genuine urge within Chidori to play football again. It felt like a seed had been planted, making Chidori somewhat intrigued. He believed that he might be able to learn something from Kira Ryosuke, something that could help him rediscover his former state. Chidori, weren't you also a remarkable prodigy player at one point? Kira Ryosuke said with a smile. You've heard of me? Chidori widened his eyes in surprise. In less than a year, it seemed like he had been forgotten by the world. Nobody seemed to notice the once glorious him, and even in the Blue Lock, it seemed like nobody paid attention to his existence. Previously, you were the star player of high school, known for your exaggerated speed. However, later on, you suffered an injury. Kira Ryosuke naturally knew this information. You haven't shown much in the Blue Lock. Is it because of your injury? Technically, your injury should have healed long ago, but it was an injury that could jeopardize your career. It's probably because you are very concerned about your past injury and have a mental barrier that you can't overcome, am I right? Chidori hesitated for a moment. He didn't really want to bring up this matter, but facing Kira Ryosuke's question, he eventually nodded because the other person had indeed hit the nail on the head. That's right, I feel like my path in the football field has come to an end. Do you believe that statement yourself? Kira patted Chidori's shoulder with a smile. If you're really ready to give up football, then why did you come here? I just... Whether you're willing to seize the opportunity is up to you. Kira shifted his gaze to the field. But if you want to give it another try, you can simply voice your thoughts directly. As long as you feel ready. Actually, most of the members in Team Z are good people. Even someone as hot-tempered as Reiichi, deep down, he's straightforward. Kira gets along quite well with them on a regular basis and sees Team Z as a team. If they need any help, Kira is willing to lend a hand. They put in the effort, so it's only natural that they should receive rewards. Moreover, helping them not only strengthens the team's cohesion but also allows Kira to earn more points. Points are related to the strength of opponents and teammates. The stronger they are, the more points Kira can gain. Do you want to practice together? It's a good opportunity to see how well your body has recovered. Who knows, you might be able to get back on the field soon. Kira Ryosuke patted Chidori's back again. Chidori thought for a moment and agreed. Yet, for the first time since arriving in the Blue Lock, he smiled. At this moment, in the Aida household outside the Blue Lock, Riko buried herself in the blanket, with her head covered by a pillow. Everyone heard what she said to Kira, but that wasn't the point. The crucial point was that she was mistaken for Kira's girlfriend by the people present. Her attempts to explain had been futile. If one day, the other people in the Blue Lock were granted the opportunity to go out, wouldn't this matter spread? Will this cause trouble for Kira? Riko's face turned red, and her fair and slender legs kicked on the bed as if she was swimming. I wonder how things are going on Kira's side and scoring 10 goals, that must be quite challenging. Our new semester is about to start, and there will definitely be a lot going on in the Siren Basketball Club. Should we bring Kira to visit Siren then? I'm sure I'll be busy then, but when will Kira be able to come out? Blue Lock, Surveillance Room. Mr. Ego, how do you feel about the first round of selection? Tairai, who had just finished the press conference, returned here and asked Ego. Everything went smoothly. Ego ate instant noodles while staring at the screen, replaying a particular match. It's possible that a real monster has infiltrated the Blue Lock. Ego said so. Who? Tairai frowned in confusion. We'll find out soon enough. Ego bit into the instant noodles, still fixedly staring at the screen. By the way, the president of the Football Association said that we can add a bit to the budget. Tairai thought of something and said to Ego. But there must be conditions attached. After all, for him, football is just a business. The football in this country has decayed to its core, and without changing that, winning the World Cup is simply impossible. Ego's face showed no change in expression. Tell me, what does he want? Just the recording of the first round match. Tairai took out a USB drive. I heard that a very important person is interested in our plan for the Blue Lock. Soon, 3 more days had passed. During these 3 days, Kira used the 10 points he gained from his daily training to exchange for extra practice time in the practice space, allowing him to have more practice time. Currently, Kira already possessed 3 skills. Having too many skills meant needing more time to practice and improve proficiency, which would affect the efficiency of training and also accelerate the consumption of points. Therefore, Kira believed that at this stage, it was best to temporarily maintain 3 skills and use the 10 points he earned each day to exchange for practice time to improve their proficiency. When the proficiency reached a certain level, he could then use the large number of points earned from matches to upgrade the skills. This would already be a considerable expense. Once the levels of these skills were raised to a certain degree, Kira would consider unlocking more skills. As the matches in the Blue Lock intensified, the points obtained from each match should increase. At that time, it wouldn't be too late to unlock other skills. Chapter 30, I'll guard the team's rear. During this period, Kira Ryosuke, along with the other members of the team, engaged in tactical training. In the eyes of the others, Kira Ryosuke was completely obsessed with training. They truly regarded Kira Ryosuke as the leader of the team and believed that he could lead them to further success. The third match was played yesterday, and Team W defeated Team X with a score of 4-1. With 1 hour left before the next match, everyone was preparing in the locker room, and Kira Ryosuke was briefing them on the situation in the Blue Lock. It was expected that Team X would lose to Team W. Team X only had Baroh as the standout player, while the rest of the team couldn't keep up. Moreover, after the devastating defeat against Team Z, the morale of the other players was shattered. Combined with Baroh's frustrated performance in the first match, the entire team fell apart. This team was basically doomed to be eliminated, and Baroh could only rely on himself as the team's top scorer to advance to the next round. Our next opponent is Team Y. Although they suffered a crushing defeat in the first round, it doesn't mean they are weak. Okawa may seem like the main attacking threat, but Niko is the most important player. Don't forget that. Kira Ryosuke continued. They have already lost one match, and another loss would essentially mean elimination for them. So Team Y will definitely go all out to face us, and we cannot afford to let our guard down. Niko Iki really worth paying attention to. Kunigami, who was standing nearby, was a bit puzzled. From watching the video, although he didn't score, all the threatening attacks in the offensive end were created by Okawa. That's right. Okawa is the attacker, but Niko is the one who truly organizes the defensive counterattacks, Kira Ryosuke replied. So, for this match, we need to slightly change our tactics. I'll take charge of guarding the rear, and I won't give the opponent any chances for defensive counterattacks. Kira, you'll be responsible for the rear. Kuonwataru asked in surprise. Then who will be in charge of the attacking? Kira turned his gaze towards the corner of the locker room, where Chidori was sitting silently. Leave it to the princess. Hey! Everyone was surprised, and even Chidori himself didn't expect this. Can the princess really handle it? He was basically slacking off in the last match. I also have some doubts, but if it's Kira's idea, then I'm fine with it. The discussions among the team members continued, and Chidori was left speechless by this sudden turn of events. I believe in Chidori, and the opposing team will definitely adopt a completely defensive stance in the first half to face us. You can launch attacks freely. If the team relies solely on me to move forward, then everyone won't have a chance to improve, and it wouldn't be fair to the players who have always played as defenders. Who knows, I might even play as a goalkeeper later, Kira said with a smile. They were a team, and if they wanted to keep winning, they needed improvement in all aspects. After all, the opponents they would face in the future would become stronger, especially Team V, whose strength was on a completely different level from the other teams. The difficulty of the team advancing wasn't too great, but Kira also wanted to greedily learn and improve during this period. The stronger the opponents and teammates, the more points one can obtain, and the faster they can strengthen their own abilities. It's not just about the forward position. Kira also wants to take this opportunity to verify whether his unlocked abilities can be effective in other positions as well. According to the previous system introduction, using skills such as steals and assists would also earn a significant number of points. But can I really do it? Chidori's eyes still showed a hint of confusion. Don't worry. As long as you increase firepower and attack freely, I'll take care of the defensive duties in our half of the field, Kira Ryosuke said. And in the first half, you need to create openings in their defense and drain their stamina. And if the score doesn't widen in the second half, I'll move forward and completely destroy their defense along with all of you. In Team Y's locker room, Niko had already gathered the other teammates to discuss the upcoming strategy. We must win this match. Although his thick bangs covered his eyes, everyone knew that his expression must be serious and determined. Team Z is formidable, but they can be dealt with. The difference between Team Z and Team V is quite apparent. Team V has 3 players with excellent attacking abilities, which makes our defense vulnerable. But Team Z only has Kira Ryosuke as a threat, the rest aren't much to worry about. As Niko finished speaking, he clenched his fist, his tone becoming even more resolute. I will use these eyes to lock down all of Kira Ryosuke's attacking routes. He won't score, guaranteed. We must win this match. Yes. Under Niko's words, the morale of Team Y soared. They had no retreat. If they were eliminated in this match, their chances of advancing would be practically non-existent. An hour later, both teams arrived at the match venue as instructed by the broadcast. The momentum of both teams was unprecedentedly high, and even before the match officially started, a fierce battle atmosphere engulfed the two squads. Kira could feel the opponent's gaze focused on him, but he didn't mind and opened the system interface. Host, Kira Ryosuke. Competitiveness points, 0. Current skills. Thunder Breath, Full Concentration Breathing LV2 Proficiency, 88.07%. Thunder Breath, Thunderclap Flash LV2 Proficiency, 75.11%. Thunder Breath, Rise Spirit LV1 Proficiency, 100%, Upgrade, 50 points. After several days of daily training and efficient practice in the practice space, Kira had already raised his proficiency in the recently unlocked skill, rise spirit to the maximum level and was about to level up to LV2. After this match, he should be able to earn enough points. At the same time, Kira also wanted to see if his unlocked skills could be effective in other positions. Chapter 31, An Immeasurable Presence. Kira, this decision feels a bit sudden, doesn't it? On the field, Chidori walked up to Kira with a slightly worried expression on his face. This is a good opportunity for you, isn't it? Kira smiled and replied. The opponent's defense in the first half will surely be very tight, and we need you to help us break through their defensive line. Besides, they will probably mark me tightly in the first half, so your appearance will definitely catch them off guard. But don't forget, you've been practicing with me every day these past few days, so only you know your physical condition. Kira patted Chidori's shoulder. Although Chidori had previously mentioned that he had almost given up on football, he still continued to engage in extra training sessions with Kira after team practice. The first half is where you guys have room to shine. I'll make sure the back line is secure. Kira Ryosuke said, turning his head to the other side of the field. Look, those guys from Team Y are already eyeing us like tigers. At this moment, on the other half of the field, almost all the members of Team Y were staring intently at Kira. Having watched the video, they all knew that Kira Ryosuke almost completely dominated the match between Team Z and Team X. The tactics devised by Niko were straightforward and clear, placing the utmost emphasis on defense, especially targeting Kira. Niko believed that as long as they could completely shut down Kira, who served as the main attacking point for Team Z, they would have a great chance of winning this match. A few minutes later, all the players from both teams had arrived at their respective halves of the field and assumed their tactical formations. But the attention of Team Y was collectively focused on Kira. What's going on? Is Kira Ryosuke playing in the defense? Is he a defender in this match? The people from Team Y were discussing among themselves, completely surprised that Kira Ryosuke would appear as a defender. Does this guy look down on us? I'm going to completely crush their defense. Okawa furrowed his brow with a hint of anger in his gaze. Kira Ryosuke's positioning as a defender clearly showed disrespect towards their team. On the other side, Niko had a serious expression as he carefully studied the opponent's lineup. From the overall demeanor of Team Z, they didn't seem to have a sense of superiority. What caught Niko's attention was Chidori, who played as a winger in this match. However, Niko had almost no impression of this person. He had made no impact in the previous matches, almost like he didn't exist. Why did Team Z assign this person as a forward? While their tactics have exceeded our expectations, we must not let our emotions affect us and keep our tactics intact. Everyone else is responsible for defense, and only Okawa will handle the offense. Regardless of the outcome, we must win this match. Got it. The match is about to begin. Both teams, get ready. The sound of the broadcast echoed inside the enclosed stadium, and almost all the players entered a highly focused state. Team Z will kick off first. The match begins. Bakura quickly dribbled the ball from the middle towards the opponent's goal. He possessed exceptional dribbling skills, making him well suited for breakthroughs. However, Team Y had already noticed this and anticipated that, apart from Kira Ryosuke, Bakura might have a significant share of possession. They had prepared countermeasures in advance. Just as Bakura had taken only a few steps with the ball, he quickly found himself double-teamed by two players. And from the corner of his eye, he caught sight of another player. Okawa Hibiki. The double-teaming was just a feint. In reality, it was a trap prepared by Okawa for Bakura, with the aim of luring him into Okawa's defensive area and facilitating a better chance of interception. However, Bakura reacted swiftly. Moreover, Kira Ryosuke had already mentioned to him the tactics that Team Y might employ before the match. It's a double team, just like Kira said. Before Okawa could reach him, Bakura immediately passed the ball back to Idoi SAE, who once again organized the attack. After a period of passing and organizing, Team Z had several opportunities for shots, but Team Y managed to defend against them all. Finally, possession of the ball came to Kunigami. Great! Kunigami lifted his left foot and unleashed a fierce shot towards the goal. However, as soon as the ball was kicked, two defenders forcefully intercepted the trajectory, blocking the shot and clearing the ball. Team Y had already conducted research on Team Z. In the previous match, Kunigami had demonstrated his powerful long-range shooting abilities, so naturally, he was a player they were prepared to defend against. Attack again! Idoi SAE, who was nearby, happened to gain possession of the ball and prepared to take a shot. However, just as he had the opportunity to shoot, it was disrupted. Okawa seized the moment and directly stole the ball from under Idoi SAE's feet. We finally found a vulnerability. A smile appeared on Okawa's face. This was their team's tactic, focusing on defense, seeking the opponent's weaknesses, and then launching a counterattack. Due to Team Y's tight defense, Team Z had to send more players to invade their half of the field, which meant that the defense in their own half became weak. Next was the moment for Okawa, who had the strongest attacking firepower within the team, to finish the job. Okawa, although his physical qualities are average, his sharp overall view and excellent spatial judgment compensate for his shortcomings, making him the most moldable talent in Team Y. Ego murmured to himself as he sat in front of the screen. Team Y's defense is solid. Team Z doesn't have any room for offense. But I'm a bit puzzled. Kira Ryosuke should be the star player of Team Z, right? Why is he playing as a defender? Tairi Enri, who was beside him, also watched the live broadcast attentively, asking with confusion. I'm not sure about that either. Ego shrugged his shoulders, unable to help but recall what Kira Ryosuke had once told him, that everything was for the sake of victory. What kind of performance would he show playing as a defender? Ego had a high level of intelligence, and in his eyes, every player's performance was part of the script he had arranged. However, Kira was the only one he couldn't figure out. Chapter 32, 1v1. It would be difficult for Team Z to break through such a defense. By the way, Mr. Ego, which monster were you talking about earlier? Is it one of these two teams? You'll see if you look closely, Tairi. Ego replied, his gaze not shifting from the screen even for a moment. When a monster is about to prey, it will naturally show its fangs. Niko made a pass with his foot, accurately delivering the ball to Okawa's feet. Finally, Okawa, upon receiving the ball, had a smile on his face and swiftly dashed towards the opponent's goal at top speed. Okawa possessed exceptional individual attacking abilities. In the original work, he effortlessly penetrated Team Z's penalty area and took a shot. At this moment, Team Z's defense in the midfield was very weak. The few remaining defenders looked solemnly at Okawa charging towards them, feeling extremely nervous. Even Eamon, the goalkeeper, had sweat dripping from his forehead. The opponent was the scoring king from a certain region, and his strength should not be underestimated. It wouldn't be easy to defend against him. Just as Okawa was charging forward, a figure appeared before him like a barrier. Kira Ryosuke. Kira was stationed in the rear of Team Z. Come on, try to get past me. You arrogant fellow. Looking at Kira in front of him, Okawa felt a spark of anger in his heart. Kira, as the ace of Team Z, appeared in the position of a defender, making Okawa feel that his team, Team Y, was being underestimated. Watch me get past you. I'll score the first goal of this match. Okawa shouted loudly. He possesses attacking skills no less than Baroh, and that's why Okawa was chosen as the sole attacker for Team Y. Kira Ryosuke is a forward, so his abilities as a defender must be quite average. Okawa made such a judgment, preparing to accelerate and directly get past Kira. If they could score first, not only would it establish an advantage, but it would also provide a huge boost to their morale. At this moment, Kira adjusted his breathing and entered a state of complete focus. A strong sense of pressure emanated from him, heavily weighing on Okawa. What's going on with this guy? Originally prepared to accelerate past Kira Ryosuke, Okawa felt the change in Kira's aura and couldn't help but feel a bit nervous. But now he was like an arrow on the string, forced to release, and could only grit his teeth and try to forcefully get past Kira with speed. However, Kira's speed was faster than Okawa had imagined. No matter how much he accelerated, he couldn't get past Kira. The opponent was like a towering wall, firmly blocking his path. Okawa could only move sideways and couldn't get close to the penalty area. No positioning error at all. Great defense. Kira, you're impressive. Kyuan praised with a smile. Okawa is already fast, but Kira Ryosuke is even faster. In the other half of the field, Niko couldn't help but sigh. Although Kira Ryosuke had already demonstrated his exaggerated speed in the recorded footage, it was during sprinting attacks, which were different from the lateral movements emphasized in defense. But Kira Ryosuke's lateral movement was also beyond the level of others. This guy is truly a monster, a complete package of offense and defense. But Okawa is no ordinary opponent. Niko still had confidence in Okawa because his most impressive aspect was not just his speed, but his incredibly delicate attacking techniques. Darn, is this guy good at defense as well? I can't gain an advantage even with physical contact. Okawa knew that continuing like this wasn't a solution. Although he had been fighting Kira Ryosuke for just a few seconds, it was enough time for other defenders to close in on him. The defensive counterattack strategy formulated by Niko made the defense in Team Z's half vulnerable, and the entire team relied on Okawa's powerful attacking abilities. But it also meant that Okawa didn't have any teammates to cooperate with. All the other teammates could only stay in their own half of the field. Okawa didn't have the option to pass the ball, he could only choose to attack on his own. But if he, as the team's strongest attacker, was single-handedly defended by Kira Ryosuke, who appeared for the first time on the defensive line. No, I can't let that happen. Okawa shouted in anger. If I can't surpass you in speed, then I'll surpass you in skill. Okawa changed his footwork, continuously stepping on both sides of the ball. Step over. This was one of the most brilliant moves in football dribbling, using the motion of crossing the legs around the ball to disrupt the defender. Step over. And the rhythm is outstanding. Kyuan, also a defender, couldn't help but praise as he watched Okawa's movement. The key to the step-over technique is a good sense of rhythm, as well as excellent body coordination. It uses the motion of stepping over the ball to deceive the defender. On one hand, this move can disrupt the defender's balance through rhythmic body movements, while also allowing the attacker to accelerate and break through when the defender's balance is compromised. Okawa possessed exceptional skills. If it were any other defender from Team Z, it was highly likely that he would be directly beaten. At this moment, Okawa kept his eyes fixed on Kira, searching for any opening. As long as Kira Ryosuke's body balance shifted even for an instant, Okawa could get past him. And in front of him, Kira Ryosuke was equally focused, staring at Okawa intently. The step-over move performed by the opponent was indeed very realistic and easily deceived the defender. But the Kira now had made tremendous progress compared to the first match. He unlocked the rice spirit and possessed excellent dribbling skills. The step-over move also underwent a qualitative change under his feet. Moreover, the rice spirit's ability enhanced Kira's understanding of dribbling techniques. In other words, Kira Ryosuke not only had a new move, but he also knew how to counter these moves. That was the reason he could appear on the defensive line. Feinting with his footwork, changing the body balance, and even misleading the opponent's line of sight, Okawa had achieved mastery in these aspects, and so had Kira. Chapter 33, The Scoring King? Just like that. In a state of full concentration breathing, Kira's attentiveness and observation skills were greatly enhanced. In that instant, he noticed the shift in Okawa's balance. The step-over was, in fact, a psychological game between the attacker and the defender, and Okawa was already showing signs of panic. He knew that he didn't have time to continue dragging it out with Kira. If he did, the other defenders would catch up, and his attack would fail. He couldn't allow that to happen. Okawa's footwork changed, preparing to get past Kira Ryosuke in that very moment. But Kira had already reacted. The moment the movement changed was the moment of vulnerability. Thunderclap flash. Kira swiftly kicked the ball, intercepting it just as Okawa was about to break through. The thunderclap flash could not only be used for shooting and breaking through, but it could also increase Kira's explosive power when defending. The sudden burst of speed and change in rhythm made it nearly impossible for the attacker to defend against. How is this possible? Okawa stood there dumbfounded. He didn't expect his prized skill to be read and disrupted by his opponent. The rest of Team Y was equally shocked by this scene, and Niko couldn't help but exclaim. Kira Ryosuke managed to directly intercept Okawa. Okawa's one-on-one ability was evident to everyone in Team Y. No one in their team could defend against Okawa in a 1v1 situation. Yet, in their first encounter, Kira Ryosuke not only disrupted Okawa but also made a successful interception. Great interception, Kira! Kyuan exclaimed in excitement. If he had been up against Okawa just now, there was a high chance he would have been fooled by Okawa's feint. Okawa was actually intercepted by Kira Ryosuke? I remember Okawa being a very famous player. Taira exclaimed in the control room. And Kira is a forward, right? He doesn't have any experience as a defender, yet he can completely suppress Okawa. It's unbelievable. He has remarkable judgment, seeing through Okawa's feint. Ego watched the replay of the match and couldn't help but express his admiration. He rarely showed appreciation for a particular player, but Kira Ryosuke's performance just now made Ego instinctively praise him. Okawa's step-over technique was of high quality, and the balance of most defenders would have been compromised by it. However, Kira Ryosuke successfully saw through the feint, found the moment when Okawa changed his rhythm, and made the interception. Moreover, Kira Ryosuke used his speed in the interception, catching Okawa off guard with his sudden burst of power. Okawa miscalculated the distance between them and didn't have time to make any protective moves with the ball. At the beginning of the match, Ego wasn't sure why Kira Ryosuke appeared in the defensive line. But now, he finally realized something. Kira Ryosuke's talent is perhaps not limited to the position of a forward. You said you're going to get past me. At this moment, as the two players from Teams Z and Y brushed past each other in the midfield, Okawa's face still held an expression of utter astonishment. He seemed frozen, and the only sound in his ears was Kira Ryosuke's calm voice. Sorry, that's absolutely impossible. When I'm defending in our half, you won't be able to surpass me. Kira Ryosuke made a long pass with his strong foot, directly sending the ball to the front field. The ball sailed through the air. Quick, defend! This sudden turn of events caught Team Y off guard. They didn't expect Okawa to be defeated in a 1v1 offensive and defensive battle. But now, they didn't have any time to react. They could only retract their formation once again, ensuring that Team Z wouldn't have a chance to counterattack. Did he pass it too far? Niko carefully observed every position on the field. Although Kira Ryosuke made a successful interception, this time the pass seemed to have too much force. There was no Z team player in proximity to receive the pass. And in that instant, he noticed within his field of vision, a sprinting. That is. Niko widened his eyes beneath his bangs, his face filled with an expression of disbelief. That figure was none other than Chidori Hyoma. This player who went unnoticed in the previous match was now chasing after the ball with a speed that others couldn't even dream of achieving. What level of speed is that? Besides Kira Ryosuke, is there another player in Team Z who possesses such speed? Niko exclaimed in surprise, while sprinting with all his might towards the landing spot of the ball. Although Niko was closer, his physical abilities were limited, and the momentary hesitation caused by his lack of understanding of Kira's long pass prevented him from initiating his movement in the first instant. Chidori had already made contact with the ball. Despite Team Y's quick retraction, Chidori had already penetrated deeper with even greater speed. Great pass, Kira! Chidori shouted loudly. Although he had lost his passion for football, after arriving at the blue lock and seeing Kira's sprinting, that flame in his heart couldn't help but reignite. Watching Kira's pass, his body moved almost instinctively, sprinting at full speed towards the landing point of Kira's pass. That was the spot he could reach if he gave it his all. Only Kira Ryosuke could make such a long pass at that level. In Chidori's mind, there was only one thought: he absolutely couldn't let Kira's created opportunity go to waste. Shoot! Goal! 1:0. Well done! You're really that fast! So powerful! The rest of the teammates swarmed in, surrounding Chidori directly, but he made his way straight to the backfield and exchanged a high five with Kira. It was Kira's interception that created their opportunity for a counterattack. Among the team, the only one who could single-handedly defend against Okawa was Kira. If it were me, I wouldn't be able to defend him at all. His step-over move was executed so well. You're kidding. What is Okawa in front of Kira? If it wasn't for Kira, Team Y would have scored first. Chapter 34, What other surprises can you bring? It's just luck. Kira said with a smile, but others naturally wouldn't believe his modesty. Making a direct steal against the opponent's ace player in a 1v1 situation greatly boosted the team's morale. At the same time, he opened the system interface. Host, Kira Ryosuke. Competitiveness points, 0. Current skills. Thunder Breath, Full Concentration Breathing LV2 Proficiency, 90.07%. Thunder Breath, Thunderclap Flash LV2 Proficiency, 77.16%. Thunder Breath, Rise Spirit LV1 Proficiency, 100%, Upgrade, 50 points. It's just as I thought. The proficiency of Concentrated Breath and Thunderclap Flash has increased. It seems that, just like the previous explanation, the way to acquire proficiency is not limited to shooting but also applies to defense. Kira thought to himself. These skills can also be developed and used in defense. Thunderclap Flash allows me to instantly make interceptions, while Rise Spirit lets me better judge the rhythm changes when the opponent uses dribbling techniques. Kira. Just at that moment, Chidori once again approached Kira's side, smiling and nodding at him. Thank you. After receiving Kira's pass and scoring a goal, the nightmare in Chidori's heart had completely dissipated. Let's keep it up. Kira smiled and fist bumped him, then turned to look at the other teammates on the field. He raised his right fist in the air. Don't let your guard down. Let's seize the game with one strong push. Let's go. The members of Team Z also gathered around, bumping their fists together and shouting in unison. Darn it! Okawa was incredibly frustrated. It was his own offensive mistake that led to the team conceding a goal. Team Y had intended to counterattack on defense, but they were scored against using the same move. It was a significant blow to Team Y. Don't worry about it, Okawa. Maybe Kira just got lucky, Niko said, walking over to his side to console him. Okawa just grunted in response and didn't say anything more. He knew that Niko was just trying to comfort him. Kira Ryosuke's interception earlier was definitely not just luck. That guy completely saw through my actions. Okawa felt somewhat unwilling to accept it and didn't want to admit it. Who was that person just now? Is his name Chidori Hyoma? How is he so fast? Darn it, caught off guard. Could he be the main attacking point for Team Z? The players of Team Y were discussing among themselves, while Niko remained silent after listening. He knew that his teammates had limited abilities and hadn't noticed the real issue. It appeared that their team's defense was torn apart by the speed of Chidori, but in reality, it was Kira who made it all happen. Kira successfully defended against Okawa, which was the key to Team Y conceding a goal. Moreover, the long pass Kira made just now was not something an ordinary person could do, indicating that he possessed remarkable skills. Niko felt a chill in his heart. Although Kira was playing as a defender for Team Z in this match, he had actually seized control of the game and held its fate in his hands. If they didn't surpass Kira's formidable defense, Team Y would have no way forward. Niko bit his lip, feeling somewhat unwilling. His gaze focused on Kira in the distance, filled with confusion. This guy wasn't he supposed to be a forward? Why is his defense so terrifying? Surveillance room. Team Z doesn't look like a team that was just formed a few days ago. They already seem like a well-established. Taira looked at the surveillance footage and said. In the blue lock, there hasn't been a single team that can achieve this level. They mostly rely on a few outstanding players to dominate the game. Team Z has completely undergone a transformation from 0 to 1, and even further. Inside the surveillance room, Ego rubbed his chin with one hand and muttered to himself. At the same time, he turned on the computer screen next to him, which displayed rows of data clearly divided by a vertical line. Look, Taira. What is this? Taira asked with confusion. This part is the previous match data of the Z team members, while this is the data up until before this match. Ego pushed his glasses up. In terms of physical fitness and performance on the field, every person in this team has shown significant improvement. I've always believed that this Z team is the most unpredictable. Reiichi Jingo has a fiery personality, Kunigami Ronsuk is somewhat rigid, and Bakura Meguru is a bit crazy. Each of their personalities is very unique and difficult to blend together. However, in reality, they have been successfully integrated and have produced a chemistry that surpasses my imagination. Why is that? Taira raised an eyebrow, clearly surprised by this situation. Simply because of one person. I used to think that if one person had outstanding abilities, they could turn a chaotic team into a cohesive unit where they are the sun and others are the overshadowed stars. Ego turned his head to look at other screens in the room. Matches were also taking place in other buildings. But soon, his gaze returned to the recent match between Team Z and Team Y. And this person not only possesses unexpectedly powerful abilities but also has the ability to make his teammates even better. I have never seen a case like this before. Ego narrowed his eyes slightly and carefully watched a particular person on the screen. Kira Ryosuke, what other surprises can you bring me? Outside the blue lock, inside the headquarters of the Football Association. A young man sat on a chair, casually looking around as if he had no interest in anything. His name was Idoi SAE, an 18-year-old midfield genius who had already made a name for himself on the international stage. He possessed powerful passing and attacking abilities, making him the strongest player in the country today. However, Idoi SAE was utterly disappointed with football in this country. He believed that there were no forwards worth passing ball. He thought that even playing for a university team in another country would be better than staying here, but he was temporarily back in the country due to an expired passport. Chapter 35, Is it really his first time playing as a defender? Idoi SAE was arrogant and cold, even showing disdain for family relationships, but he indeed had the capital to be proud. Despite his personality, Idoi SAE's formidable skills still attracted numerous fans, including the president of the Football Association, who had to flatter him. Recently, he had accepted an interview from the local television station, where he openly expressed his disappointment and contempt for the country's football. However, it was on that day that Idoi SAE accidentally learned about the Blue Lock plan, which sparked a slight interest in him. As a result, he instructed his agent to pay closer attention to related matters. At this moment, two people sat beside Idoi SAE. One was his agent in the country. On the other side sat a corpulent man with a face full of excess flesh, clearly lacking exercise. It was the president of the Football Association, Burtsuda Hirotoshi. His face wore a obsequious smile, making the already greasy middle-aged man appear even more repulsive. In the eyes of the Football Association president, everything related to football was business. Regardless of the team's performance, as long as it fattened his wallet, it was enough. And now, Idoi SAE was the one who could bring him substantial earnings. If he could convince Idoi SAE to stay and even participate in a match, he would surely make a fortune from ticket sales. Therefore, Burtsuda had to find a way to please Idoi SAE, even though he deeply disliked the young man's arrogance. However, Idoi SAE didn't even spare him a glance from beginning to end. Burtsuda handed a USB drive to Idoi SAE's agent, clasping his hands together and smiling. "This is the game footage I managed to obtain from a guy named Ego Jinpachi. It seems they have only played a few rounds so far. Of course, this footage is only for you to watch and must not be leaked under any circumstances." Because Idoi SAE had shown interest in the Blue Lock plan, Burtsuda had used his authority to forcibly obtain the footage from Ego. However, in reality, Burtsuda was extremely dissatisfied with the Blue Lock plan. He initially supported the plan because he thought it would bring him money, but he didn't expect that Ego would squander the entire budget. Constructing a building like the Blue Lock undoubtedly required a huge cost. "I need to find a way to shut down the Blue Lock plan. But it seems Idoi SAE is interested in it. I'll figure it out later and see if I can make some profit from it." That's what Burtsuda thought, but he still smiled and said, "If you're really interested in the Blue Lock plan, I can have those guys take you in for a visit. After all, they still have to follow my orders." He seemed to be flaunting his power. Meanwhile, Idoi SAE leaned his head on his hand and glanced at Burtsuda indifferently. "You seem to have misunderstood something. I'm just slightly interested. I want to see if this football underdog can produce someone decent. I don't want to waste my time watching the games of incompetent players. These videos are just for my leisure when I have nothing else to do." Idoi SAE's tone was arrogant, completely disregarding Burtsuda. His agent on the side was sweating profusely, feeling extremely distressed. After all, the man beside them was the president of the Football Association, someone with immense power in the sports industry. Yet Idoi SAE dared to speak to him like this? However, Burtsuda didn't show any signs of anger. In his heart, he was cursing Idoi SAE, but he knew that Idoi SAE might be his cash cow now, and he couldn't afford to offend him. "Haha, understood. But if you need any specific game footage in the future, just let me know anytime," Burtsuda said with a smile. Idoi SAE didn't say much and simply left his seat. His agent, who took the USB drive, quickly followed suit, wearing a forced smile, and they left together. Inside the Blue Lock, the game continued. After Team Z scored a goal, Team Y continued with their defensive counter-attacking tactics but failed to score. Okawa was completely locked down by Kira. He had another opportunity to directly confront Kira, but it was no different from the first time. He didn't have a chance to make any shooting moves and was stopped by Kira. No matter what dribbling technique he used, it was as if Kira could predict his every move. After a few rounds, Okawa had become completely timid and didn't dare to launch another attack in front of Kira. Team Y's only offensive weapon had lost its edge, and all that awaited Team Y was a slow death. Every time Okawa's attack was blocked, Kira would turn it into a counter-attack opportunity. Even if Team Y's defense was tight, they couldn't defend against it every time. This time, it was seized by Kunigami Ryosuke. Before the end of the first half, the score had already become 2-0. The halftime whistle quickly blew, and the players from both sides returned to their respective locker rooms. Inside Team Y's locker room, the atmosphere was extremely oppressive. He's supposed to be playing as a defender for the first time, right? How can he be so formidable? Niko's face was solemn. His tactics hadn't worked, and instead, they gave the opponent repeated goal-scoring opportunities. Kira Ryosuke was much stronger than he had imagined. Even though he was playing in the defensive line, he possessed terrifying dominance. Not even Okawa, the team's strongest weapon, could break through it. Niko turned his head and looked at Okawa beside him. Okawa had a towel covering his head, sweat continuously dripping down from the sides of his cheeks. His expression was filled with disappointment, and even his usual confidence was completely gone. Okawa had been completely defeated by Kira Ryosuke. Relying solely on Okawa isn't enough. He can't break through Kira Ryosuke at all. Our team's ace has been completely shut down. If we continue like this, it will have a detrimental effect on the team's morale. Even though we're only 2 goals behind, if we don't score soon, we're just slowly dying. Niko was very clear about this. Chapter 36, Team Y's Desperate Counterattack. Everyone, quiet down and listen to me. In the locker room of Team Y, all eyes were focused on Niko's face. Niko clenched his teeth. Although he knew his move was very risky, Team Y had no other choice. We have no room for retreat. We're on the edge of a cliff in this game. We can only fight desperately now. We can only use that tactic. An all-out attack. If Okawa alone couldn't get past Kira Ryosuke, then let the whole team go against him. No matter how formidable Kira Ryosuke was, he couldn't defend against the combined attack of the entire team. Niko believed in this. Chidori, you're amazing. You're running so fast. Kira is the most amazing. He's completely shut down Okawa, who is the opponent's ace player. It seems that Team Y is completely done. If it continues like this, there shouldn't be any problem for us to win the game. Inside the locker room of Team Z, the morale was high. The opponent's attack had been completely shut down, and they had a 2-goal advantage. Victory was within their grasp. We can't let our guard down yet. Unlike the cheering crowd, Kira remained calm. Basically, we've already won, right? We're leading by 2 goals in the first half. It should be very difficult for the opponents to make a comeback, right? Reiichi expressed his partial incomprehension. With their defensive tactics and formation, even if we don't score further in the second half, they won't be able to score. For now, we do have a significant advantage, but there's one thing we shouldn't forget: how much energy people can unleash when they are in an underdog position. Kira explained. Team Y can't afford to lose any more. If they lose this game to us, it basically means they're out. So they will definitely launch a desperate attack. Are you saying that they will completely shift their focus to the offense in the second half? Completely change their tactics? Kunigami Ransuke asked. It's very likely. Kira knew that in the original work, Team Y had a desperate tactic called one-point kill. If they were tied in the score, they would use this tactic in the final moments, with the entire team participating in the attack and overwhelming the opponent in 1 minute. Although it wasn't a tied game at the moment, if Team Y continued to solely defend, they would undoubtedly lose. So they would definitely burn the boats and choose an all-out attack. Although it was a complete opposite to the first half, with almost zero defense. The closer the enemy was to the edge of danger, the easier it was for them to unleash their potential beyond limits. Because if they were eliminated, their professional careers would basically be over. In a way, it was the eruption of survival instinct. So what's our tactic for the second half? Full defense? Isagi Yoichi asked in confusion. Normally, as long as they maintained their defense and prevented the opponent from scoring 2 goals, they would win. But Kira just smiled. It's enough if we can defend against the first goal. If they score in their first attack, the score difference narrows to 1 point, and their morale will be greatly boosted. At the same time, he raised a finger. But conversely, if we successfully defend against the first goal, we can get a chance for a counterattack. Their entire focus is on the offense, and they won't have the ability to defend. If we can score the third goal, then the balance of victory will truly tilt in our favor. Understood. Let's go. Let's strive for the second victory. A few minutes later, both teams returned to the field. After adjustments, every player on Team Y had a serious but determined expression on their faces. They were aware that they were deeply trapped in a desperate situation. The more desperate it seemed, the more one's potential could be unleashed. The formation of Team Y had changed. Okawa returned to their own half. Okawa, let's break through Team Z's defense together. Niko waved his hand and said. Kira Ryosuke may have strong individual defensive abilities, but his teammates might not. Let's focus on breaking through the weaker defenders of Team Z. Okay. Okawa nodded. The disappointment and frustration from his defeat against Kira Ryosuke had dissipated, replaced by a resolute determination. In this game, they had no turning back. Indeed, they changed their formation. Kunigami Ryosuke carefully observed the opponent. Just as Kira had said, it seemed that the opponent was prepared to go all out. They're coming. As the second half whistle blew, Team Y immediately charged towards Team Z's half after the kickoff. They were already trailing by 2 goals, and they had to give their all in every minute that followed. All 10 players, except for the goalkeeper, rushed towards the goal. It was an incredibly sharp double-edged sword. If they could score in the first moments of the second half, Team Y would still have a chance to turn the tables. On the other hand, if their attack failed, Team Z might find an opportunity for a counterattack. If they fell behind by another goal, Team Y's chances of winning this game would be almost completely extinguished. It could be said that this round of attack was the key to victory or defeat in the game. At that moment, Niko was in control of the ball. His eyes, like satellites, overlooked the entire field, observing every movement of the players on the field. Try to avoid a direct confrontation with Kira Ryosuke in the middle. Although Okawa may not be able to bypass Kira Ryosuke directly, he should have more than enough ability to deal with the others. We must create a situation where Okawa confronts the others. After a moment of contemplation, Niko raised his hand and made a special gesture. He had designed several tactics specifically for Team Y, and these hand gestures were signals to communicate those tactics. Upon seeing the signals, Okawa immediately moved towards the sideline, rushing deep into the opponent's half at a lightning-fast speed. Kira Ryosuke prepared to defend and block his path, but at that moment, 3 players appeared directly in front of him, blocking his way. These 3 players had the strongest physique in Team Y. This was Niko's tactic, using the other players as cover for Okawa. Even though Kira Ryosuke was a defender, they absolutely had to shut down his movements. Chapter 37, Absolute Defense. It's up to you, Okawa. Niko kicked the ball with force, and it soared through the air, tracing a perfect arc, landing precisely on Okawa's path as he was breaking through from the sideline towards the inside. Great pass. Okawa skillfully received the ball and turned his head to glance towards the middle. At that moment, Kira Ryosuke was blocked by 3 players, unable to defend his path. Although Kira Ryosuke would surely find a way past them, these few seconds were enough for Okawa to create distance. With everyone participating in the attack, Team Y could commit more manpower in the offensive phase. Most of them wouldn't directly participate in the attack. Their purpose in coming to this half of the field was to disrupt the defenders. Kira, I admit I can't get past you. But what about your teammates? Okawa shouted loudly, as if venting his anger. Quick, stop him. Imamura stepped in front of Okawa, but Okawa effortlessly nutmegged him, easily getting past. Although Okawa struggled against Kira Ryosuke, it didn't mean he was weak. In fact, Okawa's attacking ability could be considered top-notch among these 4 teams. What incredible speed! Kunigami Ryosuke and Idoi SAE hurriedly rushed over to provide defensive. Okawa flicked the ball with his right foot, weight shifting of the 2 defenders. Then, in that instant, he swiftly pulled the ball back. He nutmegged them. Okawa effortlessly got past the 2 defenders. Well done, Okawa. Niko's face lit up with a smile. He used his keen observation of the entire field to arrange this tactic. He had some players block Kira Ryosuke while others inserted themselves into the designated positions in the opponent's half, aiming to distract the defenders and reduce the number of defenders Okawa might face. Everything was under Niko's control. I am the master of this field. Niko's face revealed a determined smile, and he clenched his fist with force. As long as this goal could be scored, the outcome of this match would once again become uncertain. At this moment, there was only the goalkeeper, Iman Okuhito, standing in front of Okawa, and he had already preparing to shoot. Don't even think about shooting. Iman Okuhito had already lunged forward, not giving Okawa any chance to shoot. Though Iman Okuhito hadn't made much movement, he was already drenched in sweat. Okawa's attack this time was indeed full of threat. A deadly threat. As Iman Okuhito rushed forward, trying to disrupt Okawa's shot, his face quickly turned into an expression of surprise. Because in front of him, Okawa didn't shoot directly. His kicking leg suddenly gathered strength, then gently flicked the ball, continuing to charge forward. It was a feint. Okawa successfully deceived Iman Okihito with the feint, causing him to lean forward completely, unable to retreat in time. Okawa effortlessly passed him, and despite Iman Okihito's desperate attempt to turn and chase Okawa, his disrupted balance caused him to fall to the ground. This clearly demonstrated Okawa's exceptional skills. No! Iman Okihito, lying on the ground, let out a regretful shout. Meanwhile, a triumphant smile appeared on Okawa's face. I've got this goal! In front of Okawa, there was an empty goal with no defenders. He had already lifted his foot to shoot. As long as he scored, the score would be narrowed to 2-1. This goal was within reach. Don't think you'll score. At that moment, a familiar voice sounded in Okawa's ears, and he widened his eyes in shock. The owner of the voice was none other than Kira Ryosuke. In the instant Okawa was about to shoot, Kira had already arrived by his side, raising his foot to clear the ball. The ball was kicked high into the air. How is this possible? Everyone on the field was dumbfounded, including the players from Team Z. They never expected Kira Ryosuke to appear in that position. What's going on? How did he do it? Niko also exclaimed in disbelief. Just a moment ago, he thought Okawa's shot was guaranteed to go in, so he ignored Kira Ryosuke's position at that moment. But he had confirmed earlier that Kira Ryosuke was still far away when Okawa faced the goalkeeper one-on-one. How did he suddenly appear next to Okawa now? This guy, did he manage to get here in just a few seconds? How did he do it? Tae Ryan widened her mouth in astonishment. She thought Okawa's shot would definitely go in, but she never expected Kira Ryosuke to successfully arrive and clear the ball. He just did it. Ego calmly pushed his glasses up. Although his expression looked very composed, deep down, he was slightly surprised. Kira Ryosuke had just squeezed out enough space from the triple marking and quickly chased behind Okawa to intercept him. His physical abilities and speed had reached an exaggerated level. Impressive! Ego couldn't help but utter a sigh of admiration. Kira, in his state of complete concentration, had just increased the power in his body through concentration breathing. He then unleashed his thunderclap flash technique, enhancing the explosive force in his legs. This gave him unparalleled speed, ultimately allowing him to successfully intercept Okawa. Although the physical strain and negative effects of the skill Kira used in the first half had mostly recovered, thanks to his improved physical abilities and skill proficiency, the simultaneous force exerted by both legs also helped alleviate the skill's adverse effects to some extent. At this moment, Okawa was kneeling on the ground, his expression becoming blank. No, it can't be. He looked at Kira Ryosuke, who had returned to his defensive position, and a feeling of fear crept into his heart. Kira Ryosuke was like an impenetrable wall, no, a towering mountain standing directly in front of him. Was there really anyone capable of defeating this monster? Okawa couldn't help but doubt. A few seconds later, the ball that had been kicked away by Kira Ryosuke finally landed. A player from Team Y happened to receive the ball at the landing spot. However, faced with the fierce defense of Team Z, he lacked the courage and skill to launch an attack. He could only pass the ball back to the midfield, allowing Niko to reorganize the attack. Chapter 38, The Counterattack begins. Don't rush. Second offense. Niko shouted loudly after receiving the ball, trying to calm his teammates down and reorganize the attack. But deep inside, he was incredibly anxious at this moment. Despite the well-executed setup that created such a good opportunity, they still couldn't score. What kind of monster is Kira Ryosuke? Niko realized that he had completely underestimated Kira Ryosuke's strength. The opponent was even more terrifying than he had imagined. With the failure of the first offense, although Team Y luckily obtained a second offensive opportunity, the pace unknowingly slowed down. And for them, who were trailing in score, this was not a good thing. Think. Come on, Niko, think. Niko's mind was filled with anxiety at this moment. The plan he had worked so hard to devise had failed, and he had to find a way to break the deadlock. He turned his head and looked at Okawa, who was far away, and noticed that the determination had completely vanished from his face. He wasn't even making active runs anymore. Since Okawa is now, I can only rely on myself. Niko clearly realized that Okawa was no longer able to make an impact, and now he had to launch the attack relying on himself. Abandoning defense and organization. It was the only choice, and Niko himself had to break the deadlock. Niko widened his eyes, and at this moment, the entire layout of the half-field unfolded before him. It was as if he was overlooking the entire stadium. At the same time, Niko pinpointed the most suitable attacking route with unparalleled accuracy, where there were almost no obstacles. Niko suddenly accelerated. In the complex and chaotic field, he found the weakest point in the defense along the attacking route and swiftly penetrated into the heart of it. This was how he cleverly utilized his ability to perceive the entire field during his own offensive play. How did he manage to get here? The members of Team Z were momentarily surprised, completely unexpected that Niko could launch a direct attack to this extent. Niko has identified the weakest spot in our team's defense. Isagi Yoichi suddenly realized. He possessed abilities similar to Niko, which allowed him to guess the opponent's tactics. He also came to the realization that, just as Kira Ryosuke had said, Niko was the most threatening person within Team Y. We have a chance. Niko continued to surge forward, utilizing his expertise to quickly approach the opponent's goal at the fastest speed. But within his field of vision, a swift figure appeared before him. Kira Ryosuke. It should have been the weakest defensive route, yet Kira Ryosuke intercepted Niko's attacking route with an unreachable speed. Kira. Niko watched the person blocking his path with utmost caution. This guy is an absolute monster. The Blue Lock plan was clearly designed to cultivate an extremely strong forward, but Kira Ryosuke appeared in the position of a defender in this match. Not only that, he is more terrifying than any defender Niko has ever encountered. It's as if he is a demon guarding the territory of the goal. However, Niko still had his own plan in mind. Launch an attack with the entire team, have Okawa make a breakthrough along the wing, and let the other players provide cover. Kira Ryosuke spoke slowly. I know you are the core of Team Y, and you have devised a very meticulous plan for this attack. But it's useless. In the face of an absolute gap in strength, your strategies are nothing but a joke. Then let me show you who the master of the field truly is. Niko shouted defiantly. While he claimed to take the initiative in the attack, he was also observing the positions of all his teammates, searching for a teammate to pass the ball to. He anticipated this situation. If Kira Ryosuke didn't come to defend him, he might be able to directly break into Team Z's penalty area and create a scoring opportunity. And if Kira Ryosuke did come to defend him, it would mean that the defensive pressure on the other players would be reduced. This was Team Y's last chance. Okawa. At this moment, Niko drew the attention of many defenders. Their eyes were focused on him, while Okawa was in a position where he could pose a threat to the opponent's goal. Damn, pull yourself together. Niko had to take a gamble. Although Okawa had lost his fighting spirit at the moment, if he could gain possession of the ball in that position, he would surely be able to make a successful shot. Niko had already aimed in the direction, preparing to pass the ball powerfully to Okawa. But he overlooked one fact. There was a stark difference in strength between him and Kira Ryosuke. The moment of hesitation in Niko's attempt to pass was observed by Kira, and just as Niko was preparing to pass the ball, Kira Ryosuke had already made his move. With a speed faster than Niko, he intercepted the ball and kicked it forcefully, sending it flying. How is this possible? Niko widened his mouth in astonishment, finding it hard to believe what had just happened in front of him. His momentary hesitation was seized by Kira Ryosuke. What is going on with this guy? Retreat and defend. Niko, having lost possession of the ball, immediately realized that things were not looking good. He loudly called for his teammates behind him to retreat and defend, without any hesitation, sprinting towards his own half. He was well aware that if Team Z found an opportunity for a counterattack, they would be in big trouble. Meanwhile, the ball had fallen to the ground, and Bakaram Meguru successfully received it. What a fantastic interception! Bakaram Meguru chuckled. Let's counterattack. He immediately dribbled the ball towards the opponent's half. However, due to Bakaram Meguru receiving the ball from a deep position and not being particularly fast, some of Team Y's players had time to position themselves for defense. Double team him. We absolutely cannot let them score. Two figures suddenly appeared in front of Bakaram Meguru, clearly intending to double team him and completely block his attacking route. Pass it there. In Bakaram Meguru's mind, a voice resounded. It was his own monster, his formidable football intuition. The position indicated by the monster was an empty space with no one around. Even Kira Ryosuke, who was the closest, was at a considerable distance. At that moment, Bakaram Meguru noticed a change in Kira Ryosuke's movement. He took a step forward, assuming a posture ready to run. Their gazes met, and an inexplicable understanding was born between him and Kira Ryosuke. I see. Baroh Meguru grinned, a surge of excitement filling his heart. Ordinary people wouldn't be able to receive that ball. But Kira Ryosuke could. Chapter 39, Killing the Match. Baroh Meguru kicked the ball with force, sending it flying. Who was that ball intended for? Did he make a mistake? Niko, who had already retreated to his own team's half, felt somewhat puzzled because there was no one in his field of vision who could receive that ball. Wait, if it were an ordinary person, they would definitely not be able to receive that pass. But Kira Ryosuke could. By the time he snapped out of his thoughts, Kira had already received the pass and was in front of him. Great pass! Kira took long strides and quickly charged towards the goal. Kira, who had been playing as a defender in the first half, had now returned to the forward position. Just as he had said before the match, he would completely kill the game in the second half. This speed, it's too exaggerated. What kind of stamina does this guy have? Niko's voice trembled. In a normal game, Kira maintained a very fast-moving pace, which left Niko somewhat confused. Wasn't Kira Ryosuke feeling tired at all? But now, he had no time for further contemplation. Regardless, Team Y had to defend against this goal. Stop him! Reacting faster than anyone else, Niko shouted loudly, immediately instructing his teammates to block Kira Ryosuke's path. Surround him! Niko urgently gave the command, and more players from the defensive line surrounded Kira. He himself immediately adjusted his balance, lowered his body, and prepared to completely block Kira. Although they were short-handed, this was the best defensive formation Team Y had organized in a short period of time. The defensive line formed by several players stood directly in front of Kira Ryosuke. Kira Ryosuke, come and try to break through our defense! Niko shouted loudly. You've already boasted once, and now you are going for a second time. Before he could finish his sentence, Kira had already closed in completely. He dribbled the ball quickly, passing it through the legs of one player, then suddenly accelerated his body, receiving the ball from behind the defender. Passing one player, effortlessly. Quickly provide defensive support. The second defender immediately pressed forward. But Kira Ryosuke deliberately shifted his weight to the side, and then swiftly moved his body, using his heel to change the trajectory of the ball, and with his body leaning against the defender, he completed a turn, appearing behind the defender in the blink of an eye. Getting past the second defender. I absolutely won't let you pass. I'll lock you down completely. At this moment, Niko couldn't hold back any longer. He accelerated and pressed forward, wanting to personally defend against Kira. Kira noticed the forward movement of Niko's balance. Kira accelerated, but just in front of Niko, he suddenly stopped his body. With one foot, he stepped on the ball, smoothly executed a turning motion, gently pushed the ball to his other foot, and brought the ball to the side of Niko. Marseille turn. This is the formidable dribbling ability bestowed upon Kira Ryosuke by the second model Rai Spirit. It allows him to surpass opponents even without relying on the speed of Thunderclap Flash. Beautiful. Baroh Meguru in the distance couldn't help but praise. As a master of dribbling, he could also use such techniques in a match. However, he never expected that Kira Ryosuke, who excelled in speed, would possess such delicate skills. The fluidity and completeness of the move were almost perfect. What? Niko was dumbfounded. He never expected Kira Ryosuke to possess such technique. In the previous match footage, Kira Ryosuke mainly relied on his physical qualities and speed to forcefully score, without using such flashy dribbling skills. The ball moved as if it were Kira's pet, following his commands. This guy, did he hide his true abilities in the first match? A terrifying thought emerged in Niko's mind. These matches were crucial for their future as football players, and if Kira Ryosuke could truly hide his abilities, how terrifying was he? After losing to Team V in the first match, Ego mentioned on the broadcast that their team needed to find their own weapons. Niko's weapon was his vision and overall awareness, while Okawa possessed excellent offensive skills. The members of Team Y all believed that Kira Ryosuke's weapon was speed, as he primarily relied on it during the first half when defending. Now, they realized that Kira Ryosuke possessed dribbling skills no less than Baroh Meguru and Okawa, perhaps even surpassing them. After getting past Niko, the remaining defenders posed no threat to Kira. The ball seemed to be magnetically attached to his feet, making it impossible for anyone else to intercept. In the blink of an eye, Kira was once in front of the goal, lifting his foot to take a shot. The goalkeeper of Team Y didn't even have a chance to react, and could only watch as Kira sent the ball into their own goal. No. Niko let out an angry roar, then collapsed on the ground like a puppet with its strings cut. 3-0. This goal completely shattered the last sliver of hope for Team Y's advancement, leaving nothing behind, not even scraps. How could this guy have won? Despair was the only thing left in his heart. Kira Ryosuke had displayed a terrifying dominance in this match. Speed, skill, game intelligence, and insight. Kira Ryosuke excelled in all of them. Whether it was in defense or offense, Team Y was insignificant in front of him. It could be said that Kira Ryosuke alone had complete control over the match. That Marseille turn just now was so cool. We've never seen you use it before. MVP. MVP. The members of Team Z had already gathered around Kira to celebrate, while Team Y was completely different. Kira Ryosuke's seamless transition between offense and defense had shattered their confidence, leaving only a sense of despair in their hearts. So, this is the fangs you mentioned, Mr. Ego. Tairi Enri couldn't help but swallow nervously. Kira Ryosuke is that monster. She found it hard to believe that Kira Ryosuke could not only lock down Team Y's defense but also break through it with excellent dribbling skills. Does this guy never run out of stamina? That's right. Ego said with a serious expression. He's not just a powerful forward. I'm afraid he can dominate the field in various positions. Chapter 40, Absolute Dominance. After several tens of minutes, the final whistle of the match finally blew. The score for both teams was locked at 9-0, even more exaggerated than Team Y's previous 8-0 defeat. After Kira scored the goal, the match lost all suspense and turned into garbage time. Team Y not only had their morale crushed, but they also lacked the energy to organize high-quality defense. Their fighting spirit was completely shattered. In the second half, Team Z had their way with the game. Kira unleashed his full firepower and scored an additional 5 goals. In the first half, he locked down Team Y with his defense, and in the second half, he overwhelmed them with suffocating attacks. After the match, the players of Team Y were lying on the ground, crying in pain. Losing 2 consecutive matches essentially meant their elimination. But in the Blue Lock, the law of the jungle prevailed, where the weak are prey to the strong. Okawa and Niko, on the other hand, were in a state of confusion. Faced with an absolute disparity in strength, they couldn't even feel sadness. For them, the entire match was a nightmare. On the other side, Kira Ryosuke returned to the locker room amidst the cheers of his teammates. You were amazing, Kira. That 1-on-3 move was brutal. I think the key was your interceptions and clearances earlier. Did you see the change in Okawa's expression? He thought he had a sure goal, but Kira cleared it. Everyone was cheering and celebrating, and Kira joined in with a smile. At the same time, the voice of the system sounded as expected. Congratulations! You have earned 130 points. Host, Kira Ryosuke. Competitiveness points, 130. Current skills. Thunder Breath, Full Concentration Breathing LV2 Proficiency, 94.07%. Thunder Breath, Thunderclap Flash LV2 Proficiency, 82.51%. Thunder Breath, Rise Spirit LV1 Proficiency, 100%, Upgrade, 50 points. I received more points compared to last time. It's probably because Team Y has a stronger overall strength than Team X, and my performance in the second match was better than in the first. Kira contemplated in his mind. Although Team Y conceded 17 goals in 2 matches, they were not actually weak. It was just that they had encountered exceptionally strong opponents. In both matches, Kira had outstanding performances. However, in the second match, he showcased a terrifying defensive ability that he couldn't achieve in the first match. Another factor was that the overall strength of the team was gradually improving. Chidori Hyoma overcame his inner demons, Reiichi Jingo controlled his temper, and the others also made significant progress through their daily training with Kira. Considering these factors, Kira was able to earn more points. Furthermore, if this development continued, he would earn even more points in every upcoming match. At the same time, the voice of the system continued without stopping. Acquired achievement, Defender. First appearance as a defender in an official match and achieved victory. Earned 40 points. Acquired achievement, King of Interceptions. Made at least 5 successful interceptions in an official match for the first time, slightly reducing the physical toll caused by the use of skills. Acquired achievement, Absolute Defense. Successfully cleared a high-threat shot in an official match for the first time while in our own half. slightly increased the rate of skill proficiency growth in such situations. After completing the match, Kira unlocked 3 achievements and received substantial rewards. These 3 rewards were very direct and provided Kira with significant improvements. Now he had earned 130 points, and his proficiency in Rice Spirit had maxed out. He would soon level up to LV2, which would unlock a wider range of techniques and enhance his ball control abilities. The proficiency of the other 2 skills was also approaching 100%, and he would soon be able to level up to LV3. There was still some time before the next match, giving Kira ample time to upgrade these skills. However, what caught Kira's attention was the content of the unlocked achievements. They were almost all related to the position of a defender. It was precisely because Kira played as a defender in this match that he was able to unlock these achievements. Although the Blue Lock program aimed to cultivate the world's best forward, Kira was not influenced by it. Regardless of the position, his goal was always to strive and win. If playing as a defender can unlock a series of achievements, perhaps it's the same for other positions, Kira pondered. Goalkeeper, midfielder, maybe different positions can unlock different achievements and obtain new rewards. The rewards provided by the system gave Kira some new ideas. Perhaps in the future, he could try out different positions on the field. Just like the skills he had unlocked, Kira could further develop them to make them have a more significant impact on the field. V-Team locker room. They had just easily defeated W-Team. The rest of the V-Team was covered in sweat, but Nagi sat on a chair, not a drop of sweat on him, engrossed in his phone playing games. For him, this match held no significance. He only needed to score a few goals to widen the lead and then he could slack off on the field. Winning was simply an inevitable outcome. Unlike the other teammates who were jubilant, Nagi felt nothing in his heart. Rookies, the match between Z-Team and Y-Team has also concluded. A large screen lit up, projecting the face of Ego. Mikage, is Y-Team the one we defeated 8-0? Nagi lazily asked Mikage beside him. That's right, but your memory is terrible. Well, they didn't have anything worth remembering anyway, Mikage shrugged, considering Y-Team as a weak opponent. But whether it was Y-Team or any other players, it made no difference to them. Mikage believed that the other 4 teams were incapable of defeating them. Not only because they had their well-rounded abilities or the explosive power of Tsurugi Zantetsu. The key factor was that their team had the genius Nagi. Mikage turned his head and looked at Nagi, who had once again immersed himself in his mobile game, a smile appearing on his face.
Thanks for listening.